Have you guys ever heard of tramlining? We closed Beauty up, backed Beast into position under the kingpin, locked her in place for our journey's beginning. Once secured, we lifted our jack pads, placed our Dawn-soaked lubed snap pads directly under the 9-inch foot pads on our Lippert leveling system, then slowly lowered them, being careful to make sure they were in perfect position, and Viola. Beauty's got new slippers. Easy peasy. Then we set out a few cameras, and Shelley, a very accomplished long-haul driver, took the rig around the block so I could get a few shots of our home on wheels. Our travels have begun again. We're on our way. Let's hope White Sands and Carlsbad Caverns are open. We stopped at the Texas Canyon rest stop for a quick stretch and a chance for a little D-mail. First night's stop is the Hacienda Rv Resort in Las Cruces, New Mexico. A short distance away from White Sands, this was a good 7-hour travel day, including one rest stop break and one fuel up. The hat, because of the wind. The light, beautiful clouds right directly behind the camera. In the morning, there wasn't much to do but unhook the power, connect Beast, and head out. Traffic is still pretty light, but it is surprising to have a car pass you at 85 plus. We're using our brand new fuel service for diesel trucks. The card is called EFS and is offered to RVers through a company called TSD Logistics Incorporated. We waited until 4 days before our scheduled departure to pull the trigger and order the card. Fortunately for us, the company offers an overnight FedEx. Pricey, but it was to us after the expedited processing a whole day before we left. Pretty nice. The company, TSD, sends detailed instructions on how to use the card in the envelope with the card, and EFS even has an app you can download which updates your purchases and account information almost immediately. Now, a quick disclaimer. We have no affiliation with either company. We just like to let you know when we find something that can make life a little easier for travelers. TSD does offer a referral service, where if someone who's signing up for a card puts the referr's email address in, the referrer can get a small fuel credit. The more folks who sign up, the cheaper the fuel discounts will be. We'll leave a link to their website and our email address if you should choose to list us as your referrer. Thanks a lot. Our first use took a couple of moments to slow walk the procedure at our first RV stop, a Love's off of I-10, which even included filling our DEF or diesel exhaust fluid. Wow, it couldn't be easier. There are some large nozzles for dispensing diesel into the big rigs, and we needed to make sure that if the nozzle was on auto, just make sure it's inputting fuel slowly, else it builds back pressure and clicks off. Still faster than most gas stations, and talk about convenient. Right off and back on the freeway, the truckers fueling were all friendly and had lots of nice compliments about our rig. Our second stop was at another Love's off of I-10 in Texas, and the procedure now was much quicker. No, I'm not usually a quick study. Shelley ran in and picked up some lunch at Subway inside, and we were back on the road and nothing flat. We found a convenient rest stop a few miles later where Ellie, our doxy, could do her business and we could have our lunch. Back on the road for another 7-hour drive. It's really a shame that both places we wanted to see in New Mexico were closed, but maybe we'll get another chance later on. For now, we're heading towards our next stop at the Fort Stockton RV Park, another Good Sam park. Very nice, with lots of travelers and plenty of room to accommodate even larger rigs. On this leg, we encountered a phenomenon that rattled us both. When I was learning to drive, my dad had told me about something he called truck roots that were grooves or ruts that were depressed into the roadway by heavy rigs on hot asphalt. Sometimes it's nothing more than uneven pavement. For a motorcycle, it may be the rain grooves in the concrete. More recently, it's now being called by a different name, tramlining. Kind of like a tram or train on tracks. The wheels go where the track or rut is. The sensation is that something has grabbed your tires and redirected them, sometimes mildly, but in some instances, violently. This can be exacerbated by things like overinflated tires, low-profile tires, wide and large tires like dualies, or very hard sidewall tires like special trailer tires. And where the trucks travel in the right lane, it's more pronounced. That's where the weight is. Not so much in the left lane. But most states say you gotta stay right except to pass. Just outside of Balmora, Texas, a few hours before our scheduled stop, we hit a stretch of I-10 completely unexpected, coming out of a turn and at the same time nailed by a sudden crosswind. We began to sway almost instantly. Another thing my dad taught me was to always be ready to stop trailer sway by manually engaging the electric trailer brake just enough to straighten things out, but not to lock the trailer brakes up. I didn't have time to think. My hand went immediately to the pinch switch for the trailer brake, and I could hear my dad's words echoing instructions. The violent sway stopped as quickly as it had started, but still left us shaken. We pulled over to check just to make sure we didn't have a flat, and we didn't. Back on our way, only a little white-knuckled, but no reoccurrence. Our lesson? Listen to what your dad tells you. It could save your life. Into Fort Stockton RV, just off the interstate, and this time we'll stay for a couple of nights, then on to hopefully 1,000 trails for a base camp between two attractions, one near Austin and the other San Antonio. Keep your wits about you and travel safe. See you next week. What a beautiful sunset. We're in Texas.